Hi everyone and welcome back to the movie podcast that no one asked for. I'm your host Alia, and in today's episode we're going to be going over Mamma Mia. Now this is a fantastic movie, especially to kick off the start of the summer months, and this movie is so nostalgic for me. I remember watching it so much as a child, and even now it's probably one of my most rewatched movies. So let's get into it. Okay, as always, I will start off with a synopsis. This movie is set when a young Sophie is about to get married to her soulmate Sky on the beautiful Greek island that she grew up on with her mother Donna, who owns a rundown B&B. Sophie has never known who her dad was. The only thing that she has to work off of is her mother's diary from the summer before Sophie was born. A young Donna, which can be seen in Mamma Mia 2 Here We Go Again, played by Lily James, had 3 short-term flings that summer with Sam, Bill and Harry. However, the timelines were always too close together for Donna to know exactly who Sophie's father was. Sophie goes behind Donna's back and invites all 3 dads to the wedding to see once and for all who her father is. As the island gets ready for the big wedding, emotions fly high, with Donna revisiting her past, Sophie questioning everything, and tensions between mother and daughter rising. It is a beautiful story of love told by the incredible soundtrack of ABBA, and does not get much better than that. Such a good uplifting movie, and also a bit heart-wrenching at times. It's a very lovable movie. Let's start off with production. A pretty interesting mix of producers here. The production companies involved were Playtone, which was co-founded by Tom Hanks and Gary Goetzman, and Little Star Productions, the company of stage musicals creator Judy Kramer. Universal Pictures, which were the distributors. Of course, I'm sure you've all heard of Universal Pictures before. And Relative Media, who acted as co-producer and financier for the film, as well as International Film Production Richter as the associate production company involved. The producers were Judy Kramer, who was in charge of the original stage production of Mamma Mia. This show originated on the West End before becoming a movie, and is still going extremely strong. In fact, I believe it's one of the longest West End running shows that there is. We have Judy Kramer, Gary Goetzman, as well as executives Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson. We also have Bjorn Ulvaeus and Benny Andersson, of course 2 members of ABBA themselves, and they also composed the music for the film. The screenwriter for this film was Katherine Johnson. She was a woman in charge of listening to the ABBA soundtracks and trying to make a story out of the songs. And if there's any musical group you'd want your life to be based around, I think it would be ABBA and their songs. They're always so fun, and in my opinion, ABBA's the best band to have ever existed. And I might get some pushback on that, but I stand by it. Now I'll be talking about the director, Phyllida Lloyd. As we can tell, this is a very female-led production, which is always fantastic. Some of her TV and movie credits include Mamma Mia, The Iron Lady, of course, with Streep starring in that. She also directed herself, Gloriana, and the recording of the stage show Grenfell in the Words of Survivors. Some of her theatre directorial credits include Mamma Mia, Tina, the Tina Turner musical, Mary Stuart, the Donmar Warehouse all-female Shakespeare trilogy, the Threepenny Opera, and the 6 Degrees of Separation. Moving on to cast, we have Meryl Streep as Donna. I did go over her in last episode, as she has been in a lot of things, so it's probably no surprise that I'm going to be going over her quite a few times, but I want everyone to be able to listen to each episode individually and start from wherever. So let's go over Meryl Streep, in case you've been living under a rock. She was in The Devil Wears Prada 1 and 2 as Miranda Priestley, Mamma Mia 1 and 2 as Donna, as we're discussing here today, Death Becomes Her as Madeline Ashton, Bridges of Madison County as Francesca Johnson, Kramer vs. Kramer as Joanna Kramer, Sophie's Choice as Sophie, and she was also in The Post as Catherine Graham, among countless other movies and TV shows. Streep has 3 Academy Awards to her name, with a record-breaking 21 nominations. Her wins were for Kramer vs. Kramer in 1979 for Best Supporting Actress, Sophie's Choice in 1982 for Best Actress, and The Iron Lady, which was also directed by Phyllida Lloyd, in 2011 for Best Actress. Next up, we have Amanda Seyfried, another name I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. She plays Sophie. She was most recently in The Housemaid as Nina Winchester. She is also known for her iconic role in Mean Girls, Karen Smith. She was also in The Testament of Anne Lee as Anne Lee, Ted 2 as Samantha Leslie Jackson, Letters to Juliet as Sophie, and Mamma Mia, here we go again, reprising her role as Sophie from this movie. And she was in the movie adaptation of Les Miserables as Cosette. She is an Oscar-nominated actress for her movie Mank in 2021 for Best Supporting Actress. She also won an Emmy and Critics' Choice Award for her performance in The Dropout, a TV show that she was in. She was diagnosed with OCD at 19 and has been very open about her condition since, helping people feel more seen all around the globe. She also has a farm full of rescue animals, and she also rescued her beloved dog Finn until he sadly passed at 14, but not before a life full of love and adventure, with Amanda writing clauses into her contracts allowing him to be on set with her. Next up, we have Pierce Brosnan, who plays Sam, and this movie's sort of known for the male roles being somewhat questionably cast in terms of vocal abilities, but they put their heart and soul into this film, and one of those people is Pierce Brosnan. He was James Bond in 4 movies from 1995 to 2002. He was in Mobland as Conrad Harrigan, Mrs. Doubtfire as Stuart Dunmire, Dante's Peak as Harry Dalton, Remington Steele as Remington Steele, The Foreigner as Liam Hennessy with Jackie Chan, and Cliffhanger, which is releasing later this year, where he plays Ray Cooper. Little fun fact about Pierce Brosnan is that he originally wanted to become a painter, so decided to train at St. Martin's School of Art in London before switching his focus to acting. Since then, he has sold multiple of his paintings to raise money for several different charities. Brosnan is also a professionally trained fire eater after he saw a street performer teaching people this talent, so decided to join in and learn something new. That was a very shocking fact to me, and I did do my research behind it, and yeah, he has said it himself. He does know how to eat fire. So there you go. Next, we're going to be discussing Colin Firth, who plays the lovely Harry. You will know him from movies such as the Bridget Jones's franchise, where he plays Mark Darcy. He was also in The King's Speech, where he plays King George VI. He was also in Pride and Prejudice 1995, where he plays Mr. Darcy, Love Actually as Jamie Bennett, Operation Mincemeat as Ewan Montague, Supernova alongside Stanley Tucci, where he plays Sam, and The Girl with a Pearl Earring as Johannes Vermeer. His role in The King's Speech won him an Oscar, Golden Globe and BAFTA. He spent a significant part of his childhood in Nigeria because of his father's educational work for the Nigerian government. Before receiving his big break in acting, he also worked in the wardrobe department at London's National Theatre. Next up, we have Stellan Skarsgård, who plays Bill. And in case you're not familiar with the name Stellan Skarsgård, maybe if you're a bit younger, you will certainly have heard of his sons, just to mention 2 of them who are actors, Bill and also Alexander Skarsgård. However, we're talking about their dad here, who started it all, monarch of the dynasty, if you will. He plays Bill, and he was in Sentimental Value as Gustav Borg, Good Will Hunting as Professor Gerald Lambeau, Dune Part 2 as Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, Chernobyl as Boris Sherbina. He is in the MCU as Eric Selvig, Pirates of the Caribbean franchise as Bootstrap Bill Turner, and The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo as Martin Vanger. Inspirational fact about Bill Skarsgård is that after a stroke in 2022, he has since learnt to adapt to acting with a prompter and has proved an inspiration for many people recovering from strokes by continuing to do what he loves. Now we have Christine Baranski, who plays the chaotic Tanya, probably one of my favourite characters in the movie. She was in The Good Fight as Diane Lockhart. She is in The Gilded Age as Agnes Van Ryn. I hope I'm saying that right. The original How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey, where she plays Martha Mayhew. You might know her for her cameos in The Big Bang Theory, where she plays Howard's mother. She was also in the movie adaptation of Chicago, where she plays Mary Sunshine. So she again is very familiar with the stage and singing, and has been very confident in her vocals for a long time. She was also in 9 Perfect Strangers, where she plays Victoria, and Cruel Intentions, where she plays Bunny Caldwell. As I have mentioned, she is very confident on the stage, and she is a Tony Award-winning actress and Emmy-winning actress who has also taken several summer courses at Oxford University. She also attended the prestigious Juilliard, where she was in the drama division group, despite growing up with poor Polish parents who were also very artistic actors and singers. She managed to receive a grant which allowed her to continue her education at Juilliard. Alright, now a name, again, probably familiar to a lot of people, is Dame Julie Walters, who plays Rosie. This is another stacked cast I am discussing today. You will know her from Billy Elliot, where she plays Mrs. Wilkinson. She was in Brooklyn, where she plays Mrs. Keogh. Brave, the animated film, where she plays the witch, and of course she was in the Harry Potter franchise as the extremely lovable Molly Weasley. She was also in the Paddington franchise as Mrs. Bird, Calendar Girls as Annie, and Educating Rita as Rita White. Fun fact about her is that she's the only performer to appear in 3 of the 5 highest grossing British films in the UK box office: Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Mamma Mia, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Walters also has a BAFTA Fellowship and 2 Oscar nominations to her name, including for Educating Rita in 1983 and Billy Elliot in 2000. And of course, she has a damehood, so she is now known as Dame Julie Walters. Lastly, for the actors that I'm going to cover today is Dominic Cooper, who plays Sky. You might know him from Agent Carter and the MCU in general as Howard Stark. He is in The Preacher, a DC series, as well as Jesse Custer. He's in The Need for Speed as Dino Brewster, The Duchess as Charles Grey, Warcraft, the movie based on the game World of Warcraft, where he plays King Leon Wern. He's also in The Princess, where he plays Julius, and My Lady Jane, where he plays Lord Seymour. A fun fact is that Cooper used to actually room with James Corden, of course, late night host and successful actor and writer himself, as well as comedian. He even introduced James to his future wife, Julia Carey, and is now the godfather of their first child. And he was also banned from his LAMDA, so London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, final year musical, as they said he had no sense of rhythm, so he had to perform in the non-musical play instead, which is incredibly ironic considering he is in what is probably one of the most well-known musicals of all time now, playing one of the main male roles. So he's had his comeback and his redemption arc since then. Of course, I can't go over this movie without discussing the music. As I said before, Benny and Bjorn from ABBA themselves composed it. These are their songs. It is a jukebox musical, and in case you don't know what that means, it is a story based on existing music, as opposed to a musical which is the stories written into the music prior. So in case you don't know, I'm going to go through just the songs in this movie. They are in chronological order for when they are sang. There are also some that I won't be including because they're bonuses on certain tracks and certain special records and things like that. But the first song in the movie is I Have a Dream, sung by Sophie, followed by Honey Honey with Sophie, Ali and Lisa, Money 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 with Donna, Tanya and Rosie, Mamma Mia, the title song, sung by Donna, Chiquitita, sung by Rosie, Tanya and Donna, Super Trooper, sung by Donna, Tanya and Rosie, Dancing Queen, again sung by Donna, Rosie, Tanya and the Islanders, Our Last Summer, sung by Harry, Bill, Sam, Sophie and Donna, Lay All Your Love on Me, sang by Sophie and Sky, as well as all the Bachelors, Give Me, Give Me, Give Me, and then in brackets A Man After Midnight. Sophie and the Bridesmaids are singing that. Voulez-Vous is a full cast affair and is sung during the party. SOS is Sam and Donna. Does Your Mother Know with Tanya and Pepper, an incredible song with incredible choreography as well. Slipping Through My Fingers with Donna and Sophie, which is the most heartbreaking song. If you put that on and show it to anyone at a certain time in their lives, they will be able to relate to it. It's an incredible song, and the performance by Meryl Streep and Amanda make it even more heartbreaking. The Winner Takes It All is sung by Donna, and that scene itself deserved an Oscar. Meryl Streep just becomes everything that song is. Then we have When All Is Said and Done with Sam and Donna. And lastly, Take a Chance on Me, Rosie, Bill and Harry. We also have some end credit songs which include Waterloo. Now let's talk about the rehearsal and casting process, because a lot of people were very confused when the three dads were cast, as those actors are not known primarily for their vocal skills. However, when it came to casting, many of the Hollywood superstars were offered the roles directly, with the casting team prioritizing acting ability and role charisma rather than a more traditional Broadway actor, which I think for the movie ended up working out in their favor very well, and it's what makes this movie so relatable and fun and just an easy watch, is how much fun everyone's having on screen. And I, to sort of paraphrase Amanda Seyfried, every time she talks about there being a third movie, she just will ask anyone to be in it. And if they say, oh, I can't sing, she says, well, did you see any of the guys? They couldn't either, but they still had fun. So yeah, it was more about being able to enjoy yourself on screen and portray that really well, and they did. The actors did pre-record the soundtrack, but did also sing live on set to be able to capture the real emotion of the material, much like the movie of Les Miserables, which Amanda Seyfried was also in. Open auditions were held for Sophie, with more established Hollywood talents being considered, such as Amy Adams, Emmy Rossum, and Mandy Moore. However, Amanda eventually got the role, and I'm personally so glad she did, and I think everyone knows, and whenever you picture Sophie now, Amanda is the one you think of. Usually this is a point where I would go over some iconic quotes and scenes, however many of them are songs and I don't want to get copyrighted. However, I will be leaving a link to a very good documentary all about the behind the scenes of the making of the first movie, which is incredibly interesting and fun to watch as well. Now, before I head into the fun facts for this episode, I'm going to start with addressing, are the rumours true? Now, there are mixed accounts on whether the cast was ever drunk during the filming of this movie. In case you're unfamiliar, someone stated that the whole cast of Mamma Mia was drunk the whole time of filming. However, after some research, Baranski herself has said that they were never drunk whilst filming. However, both her and Seyfried have said that lots of fun was had off set. And I mean, what's better than filming a musical with all of your friends on a stunning Greek island during the summer? Doesn't get much better than that. You're singing ABBA, you're enjoying the heat, you're having fun with friends. Who can blame them for having a good time? There were also lots of late nights out and hungover mornings, but I think we can all agree that if anything, this added to the cast performance. And lastly, as always, we're going to end it on some fun behind the scenes facts, starting off with the fact that Dominic Cooper and Amanda Seyfried actually dated after the movie before an amicable split 3 years later, and still remain friends now. And of course, they came back 10 years after the original movie to reprise their roles as Sophie and Sky in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. The props used in the movie were actual memories, such as photos of Sophie in the film, which were not stock images, but instead real childhood photos of Amanda Seyfried. And on the subject of the men having some questionable vocals in this film, this is a quote from Pierce Brosnan during a Vanity Fair interview, and I will start the quote now. "It was absurd to ask me to be in a musical. I can't sing, I can't dance. And then I saw it was also Pierce Brosnan and Colin Firth, and they can't sing and dance either, so I felt a little safer there." Next, the cast would spend every night together after filming and just hang out, which is probably the cause for some of the rumours, but they had a great time and were incredibly close, all of the actors. Second to last, Meryl and Amanda formed a very close bond, which is part of the reason Slipping Through My Fingers is such an incredible scene. In fact, much of it was improvised by the actors, with the director, Philidia Lloyd, giving them more free reign, which makes me cry every time I watch the movie, and I know it has that same effect on many people. And lastly, before I wrap up, Benny can be seen playing piano on the boat during Dancing Queen in the movie, whilst Bjorn appears during the end credits as a Greek god whilst the cast performed Waterloo. So 2 of the 4 actual members of ABBA themselves did make their cameos on a film based around their music, which is an incredible Easter egg and also tribute to their music. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please tune in for my episode next week. I try and upload every Tuesday, and if you have any suggestions for any particular movies, please let me know and I will do my best to get around to them. As always, please leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you're listening on Spotify, I hope you enjoyed listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.